Hello and welcome to the Recon Cast, a regular topic-based podcast show featuring myself and one, if not both of my sisters, Louise and Vanessa, and within which we are going to discuss all sorts of things from games, movies, TV, popular culture, to the sort of silly stuff you might talk about with your mates, like zombies or time travel and such shenanigans. This will usually be recorded once a month and split up into 3 topics and a compilation. So 4 separate videos that will be posted roughly once a week throughout each month. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then sit back and enjoy. Let's presume VR going forwards is a success, and although it's got its problems, let's pretend in the perfect world that it turns out everything's great with VR. It's awesome. It's the next fucking coming. If so, what game franchises that already exist would be a good fit for VR and that we would like to see in virtual reality? So, have you guys got any thoughts? I've wrote up a few little ones that I've thought of, but have you guys got any thoughts?
Why don't you give us one? Why don't you give us one? Start the ball rolling.
That sounds wrong, but okay. Let's say I've got a couple. Let's say a Myst type puzzle game. I don't know if you remember Myst from way back from the 90s and whatnot. That would be interesting. Professor Layton, again, another puzzle game. Journey, Until Dawn. I think these all, I've got more, but I think these would make cool franchises that already exist that that would really work.
A good
in
puzzle
virtual
game
reality
would be interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
What about The Last of Us? I think it's probably not going to work now, but maybe if they start doing, obviously it develops and it becomes something a bit more precise and that kind of stuff in a few years. The Last of Us, because you have to sneak loads, so if they were able to do a noise control as well, and you physically have to sneak, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, but you can't,
because a lot of that game's about stealth.
You can't really move about in PlayStation VR, so you could with the Vive and the no, you can't with the Oculus either. But you can with the Vive, but you can't really move about aside from your head and stuff.
It won't matter. It's just about point, isn't it? You would use
it's like that Aliens game that Lee was playing. On one of the settings or whatever, if your phone rings and you're on your headset, Aliens coming for you, baby. So I reckon that would be really cool.
People play it on that for real, but I think it's just for fun.
Yeah.
But how cool would that be if you're in a dark room or whatever, and you're crouching down or some shit, and you can see clickers, but you have to be really quiet, otherwise they're
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, but
the combat would be a bit tricky though. When it's action sequences, that could be potentially a little bit tricky. But they're going to try and push forward with stuff like that, aren't they? So
I don't think it'd be that bad if you're crouched down behind something. If it's motions like that are acceptable, rather than, do you know what I mean? You having to do the action sequence.
Yeah, but I mean the parts where it's all the shit's hit the fan. There's no more hiding. It's shotguns to the ready. That could be a little bit more tricky in VR in terms of motion sickness and having to balance
that. That element of it so much.
No, yeah, that's a good point. If you toned it down so you're like an Ellie, where combat isn't as much of a thing, one-on-one combat. Maybe you've got a gun, but the idea is to be stealthy. Sure.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
That makes more sense if you're a less physical character. So that would be
trying to distract and rather than attack.
That'd be a good way to play it stealthy. Maybe you can get a shiv kill, but you have to do it from behind or something. So
yeah,
just the way the clickers like it, from behind. Oh yeah.
Not quite sure I approved of that noise.
But
I hear it again.
Puzzle games as well. That's cool. I think things like horror obviously is the go-to at the moment.
They're not going to be for everybody, and even for people who are horror fans like me, they're not going to be for me.
I mean, horror games.
I don't want a heart attack.
Horror games, for one thing, I'm not super into them. I mean, I like them to a degree, but doing that in VR, I think it'd be too much even for me. I think you have to climatize to that, and I think it's going to take a few years for people to even really get into it. There's always going to be the hardcore fans, but you know, for
See,
everyone
like,
else.
no, I totally believe you. I think you're right, but like, I'm thinking, like, nah, it won't be that bad. No,
It will
I'll
be
able to hack
terrifying. It'll be like real life.
You'd be able to hack it.
No, I know. That's what I've just...
Yeah. You scream at all sorts.
No, I am a passionate and I react
I know you love
enthusiastically.
it, and you keep playing, so you're not a total coward, but you are a fool for the jump scares.
I tell you what, then, if I ever get a VR set or we get our hands on one, the first thing you're gonna play, you're gonna come around, I'm gonna film you, and you're gonna play some fucking creepy horror game. That's what's gonna happen.
Anyway,
is this gonna be for next Halloween? Oh, fuck off.
We have to think about that.
It'll depend when I get a VR headset. If I get one, you know, we'll have to see. But if I do,
yeah, but didn't you little bastards have like your own little plan scheme in a way, you turds?
Yeah, it's about. I think it's a Halloween horror game for you.
Yeah. Sounds like good stuff to me. Watching you poop yourself, screaming like a fucking cheerleader or something. Anywho, yeah, I've got some other ideas. Like I said, puzzle games is cool, and like puzzle games in horror games as well. Like how like Resident Evil has their own puzzles. I think that would be cool. Like a chill section, like after, because you're gonna need those. Those things.
Yeah, Project Zero would totally work.
Yeah, I've got that in my list as well. Fatal Frame.
That'd be perfect
in the US.
Because you've not got any.
I'll tell you what I would like is something like Mortal Kombat with the punches to the face in your face.
That would be tricky though, and there'll be so many reports of someone getting knocked out. Like someone walks past you in your front room and you just boom.
No.
Get over here.
Because you're controlling it with your pad. It's just a viewpoint.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah. It would take away from it though.
If they could do it good, it'd be cool.
Like maybe like a punch out could be cool. Like you know how you did add on the Wii, that stupid boxing thing. But like if you had a better, but like I'm saying, someone's gonna get sparked out. You know, it's gonna happen.
Oh, you're lame. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea, but it takes away of the engagement or, you know, the interactiveness. If you're playing it through a pad, you're suddenly in that world and you're engaged, but then you've got a pad in your hand. It would just feel weird. Whereas doing some sort of motion I would think would be better for that. So, but
we don't care what you think. We think
it'd be really difficult to develop as well. It'd be quite difficult. Quite a difficult game to do.
But that's why it'd be novel, because already VR is like sticking down the same paths.
Yeah, it does at the moment, but that's because it's probably expensive to manufacture games for it, and that people don't really know where they are, so they want to hit on sure things. So people probably aren't into taking risks at the moment with it. So
boring.
You know. True.
Lame.
Some other ideas I had was Pokemon Snap, something like that. Where sort of similar to Pokemon Go, but you're in a VR world and you're going around maybe taking pictures of them in like a safari or capturing and whatever. You know, I think a Pokemon game would work really well for that, but it's only by Nintendo.
On that theory, like Private Eye, like staking out.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like Batman, they're making a Batman VR game. That would be interesting. Him as a detective, maybe like less punchy, more, you know, investigate what's going on here, puzzles, you know,
that'd be quite cool as well, like talking to people, you know, like
shooting up with the grappling hook. Maybe that would be a great way to get about, as opposed from walking in VR, which is still a little bit clunky. People haven't figured that out yet, but like grappling hooking from place to place, it's kind of like teleporting, and you wouldn't need to stand up. As long as they don't interpret
the car way too much into it, then I'll be alright.
Yeah, well,
they did that on thingy, didn't they? And that was poop.
But I think they want slower paced games, really.
Yeah, you can't really put Call of Duty in it yet. You can, but I think it's going to like either
it'd be a bit of a mess,
give people motion sickness, or it's just going to be too jarring where they can only play it for an hour or two at a time and they have to, you know, turn it off and, you know, take a rest or whatever. And that's not ideal. That's why implementing that.
People play that shit.
Yeah,
like, normally.
It's worse. It's better if you play it yourself than watch it. It's like car sickness. If you're driving the car, you're less likely to get sick than the person sitting in the car. It's a similar sort of vein to that. But yeah, you can't really do that. I mean, part of the thing should be implementing, like I was saying in the game, like in a horror game, having puzzle sections so you've got moments to calm down. So you know this room's safe. You know, like the safe rooms, the typewriter rooms in Resident Evil. If you've got like something like that and it's got like a puzzle in it, it gives you like 30 minutes to chill out before you go on to the next thing. I think implementing that in games that are action-packed or adrenaline-fueled is probably a great, you know, thing to produce into the game. So hopefully they'll do stuff like that, you know, going forwards and stuff. Other ideas I thought were real-time tactics games and like strategy games like Total War, things like that, in that you're the general and you're perhaps on a hill plotting out your path for your fucking army and shit. Of course, Mario Kart, because you're in a car. Car and driving games are so much easier in VR. It makes so much sense because it's quite a lot like those simulators that were already made. And in terms of horror, it's got to be Silent Hill. The next Silent Hill game should be in VR. PT, but in VR. How good would that be? Or bad?
No, I couldn't play it. I couldn't.
No, I couldn't. I probably couldn't either.
It's too much for most people, and therefore it's not lucrative.
But maybe
unless you can play it normally as well.
But you know full well that
that's what they're gearing at, though, isn't it?
All the big YouTubers and streamers are going to be playing it, so it's definitely going to get marketing and awareness. So it's probably a double-edged sword, like, and people will get used to it to some degree. But I agree with you, like I'm not like a fraidy cat or anything, but I don't particularly enjoy the experience of being stressed out. It's not something that appeals to me. So a horror game's got to have another hook for me to feel fully engaged with it. But you know, so like I feel like Resident Evil's got stuff like that. Even Silent Hill's got that. But
Silent Hill's got a massive puzzle element.
Yeah.
I think what they've got to be careful not to do is throw too many enemies in. Make it go back to the old times of tension.
Yeah, and make your ammo count very low, and maybe rely more on melee weapons and things. You know.
And just make enemies more sporadic.
Yeah,
don't make them a mob.
And more scary, more terrifying. Like, you know how the Nemesis was in Resident Evil 3? Whenever he popped about, you were like, oh shit, this is on. That's what you want. You want, like, Pyramid Head to be a big deal, not, oh, I've already seen 15 Pyramid Heads. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, Pyramid Heads behind me. I'm shit in the bed. Let's get out of here. Let's run through here. Oh shit, this place has got 3 nurses in this fucking dilapidated ward. Oh shit, I've got to sneak past them whilst Pyramid Head's behind me, you know. That's the sort of vibe you want to do.
I'll tell you something about Silent Hill that's cool.
Yeah.
The feature that they've always had is that you need the light to see, but the light draws the enemies.
I always thought as well.
Could you imagine having literally turning your flashlight on and off and make it becoming really dark?
Yeah, I mean that's probably where Outlast took inspiration from. Is from Silent Hill, but for me, the atmospheric noise in the early ones, that your walkie-talkie, you needed that to know if a bad guy was within your vicinity, but then it got louder and louder, and you'd have to assume that also attracts the attention of the AI.
No, they can't hear it.
Can they not? They should be able to in future, because that would be more realistic. But it would always add tension where you're
but that's the nature of it, the double-edged sword. Do you want to play it safe, but that will then give you new problems, or fantastic?
Yeah, it's like, but yeah, that it was always like, oh shit, even if you can't see them in the fog world, you'd be like, oh my god, they're near me, you know, gotta be careful. That would definitely be super creepy and engaging in VR, you know. Definitely would freak you out and whatnot. So, but yeah, you got any other thoughts, any ideas of things that might be cute? I mean, Until Dawn is probably a good call. Because the way that game like plays, it's not like, it is action packed, but it's more like you're a spectator in some ways. So maybe if like you're not the main character, maybe you're like the nerdy twat who's always got the video camera in these sorts of films, you know, and you're trying to document things.
I'll tell you something else that's a factor though. I think it's gonna be a steeper learning curve, because unless you have memorized the buttons really well, you cannot look down at your pad.
That's not necessarily true, because they
they can tell where your hands are, or if you're using the pad, they can track where the pad is. So they could just make a 3D model of the pad in your hands. I think I've seen that in at least one game before, where you look down and there's the gamepad in your hand, but it's like a 3D model of it. So you can do that.
But yeah, it could be potentially difficult to be pressing them. I don't know. Maybe it's instinctive. I don't look at it normally, but it's just a thought. Like when you're beginning.
I think you're probably right. For the first year or so of VR, you probably would feel a little disjointed if you haven't got a 3D model of a paddle in front of you, and even then you might not necessarily know what buttons you're touching unless you're
your fingers aren't on it, are they?
Paying attention. But I think it's just getting used to things. It's like I was watching this podcast or whatever where they were talking about how it's just VR is going to be a new way of playing games. You have to relearn how to play games in a different way, in the same sort of way how we went from D-pad to analog sticks. Do you remember trying to learn your first person shooter? It was a bit tricky, right?
You've got a good point. Like, you've got a good point.
But it's learning. It's second nature now. Moving in that, if you think about it, it's counterintuitive, having the left stick move you backwards, forwards, left and right, and then your right stick being an aimer. It's quite a weird way of perhaps playing things. Yeah. But it's second nature now, and maybe VR will become that 2-3 years down the road. So
I guess it's kind of like fear of the unknown, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? With something that's been so much money, you don't want like the thought of not being able to get the hang of it and it not being working that way is obviously kind of a bit scary for some people, I guess.
I think that's
more than understandable.
That's the thing. That's the major problem. The barrier for entry is the investment in something that you don't know whether it's going to be any good. That's the problem. It's like it's a bit different with a console. Even if you're like, oh shit, I got the Wii U, yeah, it's not as powerful as the other two consoles. Oh, but at least you know it's going to be, vaguely what it's going to be. It's going to be a console. It's going to play games. It's going to have Nintendo games on it, which are going to be great. At least you're getting some value out of it. Whereas VR is totally an unknown element. And maybe when VR 2 comes out, if this is somewhat a success, that worry won't be there anymore. You'll be like, oh, I know what this is. I know it's going to be good, at least to some degree, or I'm going to get some enjoyment out of it. And then it's not such a worry spending £300 on it or $400, whatever,
Yeah.
So
no, it's a real good point and stuff.
It's just very early doors. It's like you've got to imagine when the first consoles were like coming out, people investing in that. It's only people really deep into the tech that's gonna or have tried VR and are believers that are gonna be those first people. First wave or whatever.
Guinea pigs, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. The beta testers for us sensible people who will wait at least a year. But I don't blame anyone if they want to do that, if that's what they're hyped for. But there is still that worry that it's not going to be good, that it's going to be the PlayStation Move or the Kinect.
We've said it before, haven't we? But I think it won't be good initially. Things get good after a little while when people learn the capabilities.
I don't think there's going to be good games for a while.
That when the PlayStation 3 came out, like, everyone was like, it's shit. And I know so many people who just fucking, like, returned it, like, well, not returned it, but, like, traded it in and stuff, and then bought it again, like, X amount of time down the line when they'd got, like, better games out and fixed all the shitty things.
The best games come out towards the end of a console's life.
Yeah. It's the middle towards the end. It's like, you don't get good stuff often at the start. There's usually always a couple, like, of big first-party games.
Good launch titles.
Like PS2, I think GTA 3 came out within, like, a year or something. And that's like, wow, that was like a massive fucking game for gaming in general. And even PS3 had big titles. PS4 and Xbox One really have struggled, I think, to have, like, major, like, reasons needs to buy consoles and stuff. I think VR's going to struggle with that to a degree. Resident Evil 7's probably its biggest full real AAA title, but that sounds like it's having issues in VR. Sounds fine out of VR, but so if that's the first real game and it's having issues, that could turn a lot of people off. So I think that's what you need. I think you need real games made specifically for VR that are games and not just experiences, and then that's how people are going to slowly start But I think you're right. I think the first year, everybody's just a fucking beta tester, and that's fine because there's going to be great experiences, and you're going to get something out of it. But you know, it's not cheap, and you got to know what you're getting into. Because you know, I personally would rather wait a year till at least one of these, you know, real games is out there.
No one wants to pay for gimmicks, do they?
Yeah, I mean, experiences will tide you over for a while, but you know, I need more than experiences for fucking dropping £400 or whatever it is. I can't even remember how much it is, but it's not cheap. I know that much, you know. And we previously discussed, we don't even know yet until, you know, it releases whether the original PS4 is going to hold up well enough to run it, or you're going to need Neo, and that's another £400 or whatever it's going to be. You know, it's like, it's expensive. And like I said, 5 years from now, maybe it's just the standard, and that's cool because we know what we're going to be getting. But right now, it's a lottery, it's a gamble. It's probably a good gamble if you've played it and you're into it. But you know, for me personally, I'm just going to wait a while and stuff. But I think there's definitely good franchises there, and I think if they push through some of the stuff we talked about, I think, you know, make real games from them, that's going to be the way to go. That's, you know, that's the future. That's how you make it great. So hopefully someone's listening and they make some of these titles we're talking about. With Final Fantasy 15 getting delayed by 2 months, how do you feel about Final Fantasy 15's progress / current state, and what are your general thoughts on how the game will be received? Is it a game we should hop on board the hype train for, or instead be very critical of after 10 years of development? So, like I said, much in the same vein as our Final Fantasy 7 discussion, but there's a few more things to throw in the mix, at least at this point. We might be discussing Final Fantasy 7 like this in 10 years time, who knows. But yeah, it got delayed again by 2 months recently to November 29th, I believe. So about as far as you can push it back before getting all that Christmas money. And it's been in development in some guys for 10 years. So, you know, what are anybody's thoughts? So, how do you feel, Louise, about the delay of 10 years and the 2 month delay?
I'm not really surprised, but I'm not on the edge of my seat for it, so I don't really care this time.
No, I'm looking forward to it, but
I'll play it. I always do, but I don't know. It doesn't grab me that much this time. Parts of it are great, but the battle system turns me off big time.
Battle system turns me off as well. I'm kind of worried about the state of the game to some degree as well. Like,
I don't know. They've always gone to great pains to like polish it and make it
that's true.
As good as they can.
That is true, and they've clearly remade this game so many times. It's like from scratch. They must have remade it at least 3 times at this point. I have no idea why they haven't just thought on one of the other 2 attempts, just fuck it, let's just put it out. Clearly, that's what they've done this time. Regardless, let's just put it out is what they've thought.
I mean, parts that I've seen look beautiful and everything, and I'm sure it'll be.
It does look
good
pretty
enough, interesting. But yeah, I think I'll have to just grind through the battle because I don't think I'll be enjoying it.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue. You have to grind a lot in Final Fantasy games, and if I'm not into the battle system, that's going to kill me when we get to that point. That's like a Calmlands-esque sort of vibe, because it's all going to be about grinding for a while, and if the battle system's not fun for me, that's going to do my head in. Also, something
I don't know. Sometimes in a lot of the games, there's ways to almost auto level, because if you've got certain setups that you can make, then you can have just people healing and keeping momentum.
You're right, there might be some sort of auto battle system which could be useful at some point. And also something I heard about it recently is there was an interview with Tabata, the lead on the game. He was talking about how the game starts off very open and then becomes more linear as the game goes on, which is really odd, isn't it? It's a very opposite take to how things usually are.
I think you should take that with a pinch of salt, because he didn't say that it would become closed off, just that the main mission parts would be like that.
I think in a way it could be a good thing.
I assume there'll be travel.
because you're gonna want some sort of definitive story to it, and if it's very open world and a bit like, you know, like something like Fallout, there's story there, but it's not like a Final Fantasy story, is it? It's trickier to fit that in a more open world.
If you dither around and do side quests, you can lose the flow and stop caring.
Yeah, exactly. So it might be good to have a bit more on rails, not on rails, but, you know, more, you know, focused sense on what the story's going to be. That could be a good thing. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it as well. But the battle system, like we said, is going to do me. But the 2-month delay is a worry as well. I've heard bad things about frame rate and the battle system.
Originally, they were intending to do like a day one patch for it. Because to fix little problems, glitches, frame rate drops and stuff like that.
Bugs and stuff, yeah.
But then they apparently, I'm surprised in everything to hear it, but it's only something really small, like 40% of people play online. Most people don't.
That can't be true.
That's what I heard.
That sounds like
bollocks. And he didn't want it to be unavailable to offline people. Maybe it was in Japan.
I heard this as well. He also says
though.
He also says maybe it is. I mean, PlayStation Plus. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people don't have that. But not that you need it for this game. But anyway, the thing is though, he talks about how they won't need a day one patch, or they won't need a significant day one patch. That is just PR bullshit spin. I guarantee you, when the day, because they patch stuff anyway, they constantly patch stuff. When the day one patch hits, I guarantee you it will be no smaller than like 2-3 gigabytes. Sorry, it'll be a big patch. Yeah, I would not be shocked at all if it was like 7 gigabytes or more. You know, so him saying that is bullshit, and we'll see that it's bullshit when the day one patch hits, and it's fucking massive. So he's just trying to put a spin on it. I respect what he's saying, and to be fair, the patch would have been even bigger if they hadn't have done what they're going to do. There will still be a day one patch. In it. Yeah, it's kind of how they do stuff, but how they do stuff needs a shake-up, because their American and European branches are putting the Japanese branches to shame, because they're probably putting out 3, maybe 4 games in the time it takes them to make, you know, a Final Fantasy 15 or something. It's ridiculous the time that they take. They're too interested in making their own engines and pretty demos and fucking cutscenes and stuff. It's like, we like that stuff. Don't get rid of the cutscenes, but make the fucking game, okay? And then worry about the cutscenes and things. It's like, you know, they spend a lot of time.
Everything's the same. Oh, it's got to be super beautiful, realistic graphics. Oh, it's got to be amazing, like quick time battle sequences and stuff. Bullshit. The best games don't have to be super polished. It's about the mechanics.
Yeah, and the story and things like that. They're the things that
simple
grip you.
Can be just as good.
What about the bromance thing? Does that put you off? It turns me off a little bit personally. The whole dude bro group thing. It's a bit, you know.
I haven't. I played both of the.
No, but 15. They're all dudes in
demos.
It's all like bros. You know, it's like, I don't know how well I'm going to relate to all these characters. Am I even going to like some of them? Because they're just.
Wacker called everyone bro, didn't he?
No, but they all. Him. No, they all. My point is, they're all like dude bros. Do you know what I mean? They're not like Oren wasn't that sort of person. Even Tidus isn't that sort of person. You know, you take Cloud wasn't that sort of person. They're all very. It's all very like it's like a bro road trip movie or something. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They're all in the car. So how does, you know, are you going to be able to relate to those characters, or does it not bother you? Do you think it'll be fine?
I'm not. The jury's out. I'm not decided. I'll wait and see how it fits. Are there any female characters?
There are, but they're not main characters. So there's like the woman.
They're not.
There's Noctis's love interest, which is some princess or queen or something. I'm not super up on it, so, you know, don't kill me.
There's no female playable characters.
There's also that woman on the truck stop.
Is that right?
On like a truck stop thing. Well,
that's going to piss me off.
There's no female characters that we've seen thus far. They could be, and they could be in DLCs, or they could be like spin-off sections, like how Laguna was in 8. But at the moment, we haven't seen any main female characters.
So
Well, that's shit.
as far as
There's
I'm aware,
always
anyway.
guilds in them.
I know. So it's very bro heavy. So
And it makes for dual characters in a way, I think.
yeah,
Because they're like all dressed really similar. All that's defining them is different hairstyles.
that was kind
and
of
like
an
a
issue for
pair
me.
of glasses.
I mean, you were talking earlier about how you started playing 12 again. There was only two characters that really shone for me in that game. Everybody else seemed very generic, and that was Fran, that like weird bunny woman who she was cool as fuck,
Vera.
and that what's his name? Is it Balthazar?
Balthier.
Balthier, yeah. They were the only
Yeah,
two
he
that
was
really
cool.
shone.
Sky Pirates.
Shone for me. The rest all seemed very generic, and there's probably going to be a similar feel to this. I think I'm going to like Noctis, and the rest are going to seem super generic to me. That's how I'm thinking at the moment. So, yeah. I've got another question for you. What if the release dates get pushed back? If they get pushed back again, how are you going to feel about the game then?
Like I said, I'm not that bothered. I'll play it when it comes, and I'm just not gripped for it or anything. I'll enjoy it, no doubt, but I don't think it'll be a favourite. So I'm easy. I don't care.
Yeah.
They've stopped. I can't put my faith in them anymore. I know it sounds pathetic.
I'm
but,
nowhere
like,
near as excited for this as I would be
I've stopped caring a bit.
pre Final Fantasy
Because they
13.
don't do what I like, not because they don't like their games, but because the only really good one lately has been I liked 13 Part 2.
Yeah.
It was very good.
I just never
It
got.
was-
I couldn't get back in that shit after 13 was just such a on linear, on rails. You know, I just completely lost interest in it. It's supposed to open up when you get towards the end, but if you have to play 40 hours or more of a game for the game to get like good, that's not good enough for me. I'm out. Do you know what I mean? I got time to spend on other things, not something like that.
It's not terrible. They never make a really truly awful game.
No.
I'll give them that.
No.
But I'm not in love with them anymore. I love them, but I'm not in love anymore.
The Final Fantasy VII remake might rekindle my love for it, but and my hype.
I think they'll spoil it.
Probably. But the battle system, again, it's going to be the most worry for me. 15 is going to be a litmus test for how the Final Fantasy VII remakes, battle system's going to be, because it's not going to be the same. They're obviously going to tweak it and do things and learn from 15. But if 15's battle system is shocking, that's going to worry me so much for 7, because Kingdom Hearts is so superior to that. But I wouldn't even want a Kingdom Hearts battle system for 7. Like, from what I've played so far, we haven't obviously played the game yet, so.
I like Kingdom Hearts. I've played the crap out of both of them, but it's clunky. It's fucking clunky. The magic system is hard work, in my opinion. You can only assign a couple of spells to your hotkeys. It's clunky. It always has been.
The new ones, like
the other fantastic elements that make Kingdom Hearts good.
The new ones, like using status effects to your advantage, just you can't do that in Kingdom Hearts, really. You can sort of if you preset up your character before going in like a boss battle or something, but not in the same way you can, in What I would have liked to have seen is, fair enough, you've got this action time battle sequence, like real action, not ATB, but why not implement something like the VAT system where you press a button, you charge up your bar, you press a button, and it slows time down, and then you can scroll through and maybe throw a status effect on someone, or heal someone, or, Phoenix down someone or something. That would have been a good way to implement
what I've played
that.
of the demos, the only downtime is when you're hanging from a goddamn tree or something.
Or if you back off from your enemy and maybe, like, your other characters are distracting him or something. But, yeah, so... You got any thoughts on this, V? You still there?
Oh, sorry, I'm still here.
What are you doing? Having a nap?
No. I don't know. Like I've always appreciated Final Fantasy. I've always liked it, but I've never been like a die-hard fan. Like, you guys have played all the games and stuff. I was looking forward to it. It does seem like...
Yeah, but you're a big Kingdom Hearts fan, right?
Yeah, I do like Kingdom Hearts.
So the battle system's supposed to be somewhat similar to that. So that, in a weird way, should appeal. You're the type of person they're trying to appeal to. The person who's not
probably
a hardcore fan, who's vaguely on the outskirts of it.
Yeah.
You're the person that does it strike your boat because you're who they want by the sound of it.
Stroke my boat.
Yeah, does it stroke your boat? Or float your fancy?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it as a fresh game, like as a fresh concept, really, because I've not been an avid fan through the years. I've not played every game. I've not, hyped about it so much. So to me, really, especially in like more late years, I've become more of a regular gamer and more of like spending a lot more of my time on it and stuff. I think
Less
that
casual.
for a start it was a lot more casual and stuff. No, it's not. I am excited for it. I'm gutted that they put it back, but I'd rather have a game that's bloody worth it and it's a really good game.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm going to be spending 50, 60 quid on it.
It's better they make it work out the gate than a hot mess that's just infuriating. Because if the game plays average or just good, and then the game's a fucking buggy shit fucking mess, everybody's gonna have a really bad opinion on it, even if the game's itself it's not that bad or it's even good, or maybe even great. It's going to affect how people think of the game. So I don't mind like a 2-month pushback, but with that, if it gets pushed back further and the game is, let's say, average at best, how would that make you feel about Final Fantasy as a whole and your opinion on Kingdom Hearts 3, which is the same team supposed to be working on it, and the Final Fantasy 7 remake? How would that make everybody feel? What would your thoughts be on those? On it going
I'd be
forward?
less inclined to want to purchase it, most definitely. Because like I said, £50-60 to spend on a game for me is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And as it is for a lot of other people. So if I buy one of their their products, their merchandise, whatever, if I'm buying that from them as a company, regardless of the title, and they've done a shit job, after a 2-month, I mean, I know you guys are saying about a 10-year wait, blah, 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 but I haven't waited that long.
Ridiculous.
But do you know what I mean? Still an extra 2-month thing on top of that, and it's crap, and then they want me to go buy their other game. I'm just going to wait. I'll wait till it comes out and it's cheaper or on sale or pre-owned or something. I'm not going to want to rush and go buy it, I guess. But
that's how I feel about it. I feel like if they sink Final Fantasy 15, it's not good, and Final Fantasy 7, they fuck that up too. Final Fantasy's done, man. It's over.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with that. You're going to have to put pause on it for like 10, 15 years before you can
I hope they
do
would.
anything with it.
I really hope they would.
Oh, they
because
wouldn't.
they're obviously doing something wrong.
They wouldn't.
Do you know what I mean?
They don't listen. They don't listen.
They don't.
Anymore.
They're doing something wrong. They need new people in.
After every single title they've brought out, the fans have gone, no.
It's getting progressively worse, isn't it? I mean, they've kind of brought it back a little bit in some respects, but it's like like you're saying, Final Fantasy 13 Part 2. They've made improvements. Part 3, they've made some improvements, but it's the same old thing with Square and the studios in Japan. Is throw the baby out with the bathwater. They they make new good things and make new bad things. And it's like, learn from your mistakes, just improve upon what you're doing, iterate upon what you're doing. Stop throwing everything out every time. I mean, that's part of the problem with this whole fucking game. It's been in development for 10 years, which is a joke. It's a fucking joke. And it's because they kept throwing the game out every time. Why not just publish one of those games? Why not just put one of them out?
Yeah.
Why not just focus on one of them?
But it also take away the whole Final Fantasy is like a game and stuff. It also makes it seem really fucking unprofessional. They can't even make one game worthy of selling in 10 years.
Yeah.
I get they're trying to live up to the Final Fantasy name and shit, but it's gonna make people think what the fuck are you playing at? Just make a fucking game. Out of all the ones that you've thrown away,
it's like they've remade it so many times pretty much from scratch with the same sort of ideology, and in between 13 has been wedged in the middle of it. It's like they probably should have just doubled down and put 15 out as whatever it was and just got it out there. But you know,
probably why it's taking so long, because like if you've got like a basis of a game from like 10 years ago, and then you make a game and then you scrap it and then you take parts of that game to another one, you've got to keep constantly updating it to like now and like the things that are going now. If a new game comes out, obviously they're gonna have to compare it to that and try and make it better. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they're not only are they trying to make a new game, but they're also trying to keep up with the times and stuff. Like a game that they made 10 years ago wouldn't work now.
It's a funny old thing, but the games that often do best are the ones that make minor changes.
yeah.
Christ, look at Mario, look at Pokemon. The most minuscule changes every time. People buy them and love them.
I think it's a case though with those games, they came out and they already, for their audience, they were already on a winner, and it's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Which Final Fantasy,
wasn't it like that before?
Final Fantasy doesn't get that. It's like, oh, our game's great, throw that away, let's make something else from scratch and ignore all that good stuff. They always did that, and they still continue to do that. Whereas something like Pokemon or Mario is like, oh, look at all the great stuff we did, let's take all that, put it into a new game. What has room for improvement, you know? And then they focus on those bits. It's like the solid foundation of Final Fantasy, you know, they never pass that on. They never take the skeleton from one game and push it into the next game, really. And if you think about it, the games where they did that are probably the most successful. Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, you know, even into 10 to some degree. They pushed a lot through that was very similar. It's more like iterations. And before that, in the even older generations, like 6 on, you know, 1 through to 6 or whatever, it's the same thing. It's very similar, like iterating upon the same concept and idea, and that's when their most successful periods were. So it's like, you know, that's what they need to do. I normally wouldn't say that with games. I'd say, you know, time to put some fresh ideas in games, mix things up a bit. A lot of games usually need to do that. Final Fantasy is not one of those games. So, you know, and this will reflect on Final Fantasy 7 without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, the hype's still going to be there because it's Final Fantasy 7. But if they do balls this up, it's going to be an issue. I'm hopeful that they won't. For me, I think in terms of how it will run and stuff, like frame rates and bugs and stuff, I think as long as it's not like a new, you know, Fallout New Vegas, like proper fucked up, eating your saves and doing all sorts of weird glitchy shit, I think I'll be alright with it. But the battle system for me is going to kill it. If it's real bad, I don't even know if I'll bother beating the game. Do you know what I mean? So that's an issue. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, I'd still be kind of hopeful for that. Kingdom Hearts 3, because I think it plays quite different. But you know, I'd be super worried about 7 personally. But you know, the hype's still going to be there. Everybody's still going to be on that hype train. So you know, yeah. Again, it's like trepidation, but you know, I'm going to try and be somewhat optimistic. But this little pushback worries me a little bit again. Rather they do it, but if they push it back into 2017, the joke's just going to be, it's just going to become too much, isn't it? It's going to become too much. They have to hit this date. I mean, they had a big event all about pushing it to doing it in September. That was their big reveal and everything, and they've missed that. If they miss this one, any optimism's just going to go out of the window for me. So. Having never really discussed with you guys before, I was wondering, what are your thoughts about anime? What's your history with it, if any? How do you think it's developed over the past 15 to 20 years? And is there any anime that you're into at the moment or recently? So, anime, what's your history with it?
I mean, I've not... I guess I have, really. I mean, I've watched a few things. I've not like been an anime fan to specifically go out and seek anime. No,
not like a hardcore fan.
But like, yeah. But I have like, I think even as well, like it's been said, like without even knowing, I've watched it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've appreciated. Like I used to watch like One Piece as well. And
yeah, well that's anime. That's as much anime as anything else. That's as much anime as anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like without knowing, I've watched it. Do you know what I mean? And I've liked it without actually purposefully going out for it. But yeah, like I used to watch Dragon Ball Z and stuff, like we all did, and that, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Dragon Ball Z is amazing, but it becomes that point where it's like a crossover where you're not sure whether something's a cartoon or an anime. But in Japan, they're one and the same, so it's kind of like it's different. And where we think of cartoons as for kids, they don't see it like that. There's a clear distinction. There's adult cartoons and kid cartoons.
This is what does my head in, though. This is what does my head in, because I mean, like I said, I'm not like a die-hard fan or anything. I've not, I like it, whatever. I like what I like. I'm not trying to defend it to the, to the earth or whatever. But my point is, everyone's like, oh, anime is so childish. Anime is so this. Anime is that. But it's perfectly acceptable for grown women and grown men to like Disney.
Yeah.
Or
like Toy Story or something.
I fucking love Disney. Like, don't diss Disney, because I'm a bit of a geeky fan. I do like it, but for someone to say, "Oh no,"
well, they're
can't deal
clearly
with that
designed
childish shit, and then fucking sings "Let It Go." Like, it's just really hypocritical.
They're clearly designed more for kids than they are adults. They have some adult theme to them, but whereas like there's things that are just not like designed for kids in anime that's like really fucked up. I mean, Attack on Titan. Do not show that to your kids. Do not show it to your kids. They'll have nightmares.
No. I think the only thing that I guess puts me off with some of the anime, I mean, yeah, just some of it, I guess. I can't, not all of them are the same and stuff. It's just how fucking weird things are in it. Like, I'm not saying that if I didn't watch down, I wouldn't like it. Like for instance, One Piece is just really weird, and there's like just. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole theme of it's just bizarre. Like, but yeah, I'm not saying that if I didn't sit down. I mean, obviously, like I said, I like One Piece. If I didn't sit down and watch them all, then I wouldn't like it. I'm just saying the concept of it and making myself watch something that's a bit like out there doesn't push me to watch it. Do you know what I mean? It's just something that kind of like puts me off. I don't know, like
they're very Japanese in a cultural sense, and it's when you watch them, I don't think you think of them in the same sense sometimes as other TV shows and programs and whatnot. It's like, I don't know. So I think some people think of them more like filler, but I think when an anime is really good, it transcends that, and it is just as legitimate as any show on Netflix or whatever, Amazon, whatever you're watching. But I think for me personally, it's only the really good ones that tend to capture me. I mean, back in the day, I used to be quite into anime, but when it was a lot rarer, like over here, it was incredibly rare to have and see these things, and there were more films. It was more about films than TV shows. It's all about TV shows now. So,
I agree. Yeah.
What about you then, Lou? Have you got any history with? What's your history with them?
Maybe I don't like it, but actually I think I watch a ton. You've said One Piece, you've said Dragon Ball Z.
Well, Dragon Ball Z is a classic.
I watch more than I realise. I've watched all the Death Notes. Bleach.
I've never seen that one.
High School of the Dead.
I've seen some of that. Taylor showed me. Made me watch it. It's a bit porny, isn't it, at times?
It's quite lesbo-y, yes.
Yeah, very. Oh, my top slipped. That sort
under
of
normal circumstances, if your teacher asks you to take a bath with you, you should probably say no.
Yeah, definitely take a pass on that. Usually, and they're all if they're all in school, so they've got to be quite young. So it's like creepy.
Yeah, but lately I've been watching only last week actually Attack on Titan.
Have you not watched them all yet?
No, I got about halfway through.
It's really good. It's really good.
It is really good. What has put me off is that Taylor has said that there's still no like answers or clear end in sight, which has made me lose interest a little bit.
Well, it's not. It's just that they're taking so long to make the second series. I think and imagine they've got answers and stuff. It's just they haven't told. They don't tell you as much as you'd want to know by the end of the series.
According
you'd
to
want
Taylor,
to know a lot more.
Got anywhere in the books even?
Oh, I don't know about that. He reads anime and shit. I'm not that into it.
So that puts me off a little bit. As with a lot of things, if I'm reluctant these days to start a book that hasn't come to an end, or a binge watch series. I haven't got the patience to watch a single episode once a week.
You always worry that it's going to end up like a Lost, where it's just going to tail off after like series 2 and just be absolute shite. which is
Yeah.
definitely a worry. But animes usually seem to hold their story for quite, through to the end usually.
But
which is
it's almost better to come across
impressive.
it when it's nearly done.
Yeah, that is true. If you watched it all in one go, that's what I'm going to do with Game of Thrones, because I've never really watched Game of Thrones, but I'm just going to watch it all in one go when it's all finished, I think. So, because people rave on that shit. So
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very good.
So that's what I'll probably do. So yeah, that's a good thing. But definitely Attack on Titan. Have you seen that, V? Did you watch any of them yet?
Which one's that? The
Attack on Titan. The
no,
one with
I
the
haven't.
weird nudie blokes and women. I
Yeah,
should
no,
say.
not yet.
They're
I've
so
been
creepy.
binge watching Gotham.
They are creepy. Yeah, definitely. If there was any that I was going to say to anyone to watch now, any newish ones or recent ones, Attack on Titan is definitely the one I'd suggest, because especially if you were into binge watching, that really hits.
I
the thing.
I mean, I used to, like, ages ago, I'd wait every week for the fucking episode, and and it'd do my head in. Walking Dead's the worst bastard for it in the whole wide world. Even, oh god, it just used to do my head in. And then, like, I proper, like, started loving on Netflix and stuff, and then going back and having to watch a series again, like The Walking Dead or Gotham used to come out every week and stuff like that. It absolutely annihilates me. It makes me so miserable. So, like, I'm massive for binge watching, which is probably
I think
why I'm
most
quite.
people are now. Everyone I talk to is like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can so easily lose the narrative from week to week, can't you? You know.
I mean, if you take something like, excuse me, if you take something like Netflix, they tend to, like, their new series, they bring out a whole season. They don't, like,
Yeah.
spoon feed you episodes. They know what people want.
But
I mean, even with Netflix though, like, even if they do, like, just do the episodes, I find that, like, if it's week by week, then I'll not lose interest, but I'll forget about it for a little bit, unless it's like a really good series, like, that I'm proper and fanning over. I'll forget about it, but then it almost compensates for it, because I can then watch it like 3 or 4 episodes at once, sort of thing, so I would have missed it 3-4 weeks. But again, like, the narrative disappearing, you have to go, oh yeah, of course.
The Walking Dead's the worst for something without an ending in sight, really.
So I think I've got stomach ulcers just from, like, anticipating, like, who's gonna die. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't. Oh my god, it's next month.
It will end eventually, because I'm almost certain that that's based on, you can see the corpses rotting over time and stuff, and I'm pretty sure eventually they're going to rot away, and it's not going to be an issue after you've survived X amount of years or something. But the comics are a thing. I don't think they've got an end in sight, so it's like, where's the basis? They're going to have to end it at some point, because it is just going to become too much.
But they have to do it to every series, do you know what I mean? Like, some of them drag it out to, like, series 15. As much as I'm a massive fan of Supernatural, they do the same. They drag it out to, God, no, I think on, like, they've been final, like, they've got 13 on the go now or something, series 13. It has to end. It has to,
It's better to end on a high than have it
Definitely.
die a slow, lingering death.
I mean, that's why, I was a really big fan of Smallville, and I know they still, I know they still dragged it out for 10 series, but, like, I'm glad they ended it exactly where they did. They could have gone on to, like, Clark Kent, like, turning from, like, Smallville teenager to, like, Superman, and carried on the Superman line, and could have done another 10 series on top. But I'm glad that they stopped where they did, because it was a perfect time. It was great for keeping it open for another show to come out of it perfectly, but also they've kind of, just done it so that they didn't fucking kill the series off.
There's nothing to talk about dragging things out like anime.
Yeah.
If you were watching Dragon Ball Z week by week, you wouldn't know how one fight ended inside of a month.
Some of the episodes are literally just them screaming for half the time, you know what I mean? Like, oh, power is charging.
Like 7 or 8 minutes of the show.
They do it because it's filler, because it's easier to animate. That's one of my criticisms of Attack on Titan is there's a lot of filler in places, and they always have really long intros, so they don't have to animate for as long. That does my head in a bit. But if I was going to suggest,
then again, it's not the same thing. You're talking about them drawing each frame.
Yeah.
it's a lot more
It can't be an hour
intensive.
long. It can't be.
Even with new technology, it's still a lot more intensive. But yeah, Attack on Titan, definitely one I would suggest for anyone who wants to.
It's creepy. I think Vanessa will like Death Note.
Yeah,
You know
Death
what? I've
Note's
been
cool.
interested in Death Note for a long time. I've
only
since
watched
Taylor
a
was into it
couple.
a long time ago.
Maybe like
You have
5
to
or
watch
6
further
myself.
to get more into it, I think.
I know, I've got the box set here, so I'm going to crack on through it bit by bit. But yeah, that's something, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely a slow builder. You can feel it like coming along and stuff.
It's
definitely
cool. I love the Shinigami. Tay has actually got a really weird DVD, which is Death Note, but from the perspective of Ryuk, who is the god of death, Vanessa, a god of death.
Yeah.
So it's all that happens. We've not watched it yet, but yeah, that
That's
might be an
interesting,
interesting
yeah.
take on it, because they're the coolest part of it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they are pretty cute.
They're so weird and cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool one. I was just thinking maybe I should do a topic for a different time. What would you do if you got the Death Note dropped for you like it does for? What's the bad guy called? Is it L? What? No, that's the good guy, isn't it?
N, the first
What's
one.
the bad guy called?
Light.
Yeah, if the Death Note dropped for you, what would you do? Maybe that's a topic for another day.
If you even write in it once, you don't go to heaven or hell.
Don't spoil it.
Stop
Soul's
spoilers.
gone.
Spoilers.
Shut up.
I've got a
So
theory
that's
about
worth
that
knowing.
personally, but I'm not going to talk about it. 'Cause
It
could be
doesn't really
spoilery.
mention it in the anime. Don't cry. It's in the books.
It'd be good
in
to,
the,
even if you're
in
not
the
going to
books.
use it, it'd be good to touch it because then you'd be able to see the Shinigami. So
Yes, you could touch it, but if you write in it, then you kind
Yeah,
of
but
doomed. No
you'd
one knows
know
what happens to someone who
if
owns
someone
a
like
Death
Light
Note.
was trying to play you, you'd know he was playing you because you'd be able to see the Shinigami with him. So you'd know he'd
No.
have a Death Note.
Wrong.
Why not?
You can only see the Shinigami that's linked to your Death Note.
Ah, right. Yeah. Okay. Good point. Good point.
There
Forgot
might
about
be
that.
exceptions. There's something else you can do, which is you can pay half of your natural lifespan
Yeah.
to get the demon eyes.
The sight. Yeah.
And you get the eyes of the Shinigami. So from that point on, everybody you see, you can see their name, their natural lifespan,
Hmm. And all
possibly-
Shinigami, is
I
it?
can't remember quite how it works, but maybe you can see other ones then.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure. I don't think it is. I think if you once touch a Death Note or a piece of it, then from then on you can see that Shinigami. But I think you can normally only see your own.
Is it? Yeah. Just that one.
I haven't got a clue what you're on about.
You will do. Start watching some of them. I don't think Death Note's on Netflix anymore, but just I didn't tell you this, but just pirate it.
Oh,
didn't
do
tell
you know,
you.
yeah, I mean, no, that is against the law. How could you?
I know.
We
I
do not
didn't.
do
I
such
wouldn't
things.
suggest it. If there is
No.
a genuine like option to watch it without pirating, then do that. But let's face it, everybody does it. Everybody
It's
does
cool.
it.
No, they don't.
It's cool to watch, though.
It's
one
cool
way
to
or
break
It
the
was
law.
on Netflix at one point, but they removed it in
But yeah,
the UK anyway.
if you have anyway, if you acquire a Death Note, any name you can write down anybody's name in it,
Hmm.
and how they
choose
will
their-
die. You can make
yeah,
them
choose
die.
their die as well. How
That's,
they die. Yeah.
that's delightful.
Another good one I would suggest. I don't know if either of you've seen it. It's Full Metal Alchemist. It's probably a
Yeah,
little
I've
bit.
watched some of those.
It's probably a little
It's
bit
too
difficult
sad.
to get into.
I
yeah,
only
it's
watched it at the beginning.
fucked up.
A few episodes in. It's
It's-
the little brother. It's
It
too
seems
sad.
like very like child centric or whatever because it's about two younger like kids or whatever because he's quite
No.
young early on, but it gets so fucked
let
up.
your
Have you
children
seen up to
watch
the
it.
bit where there's that little girl that they meet that's some like doctor's daughter or something? Have you seen up to that
I
bit?
can't remember.
It gets real fucked up. Like I don't want to spoil it too much, but basically this doctor, he's trying to make the best philosopher's stone to be able to use these powers like infinitely and be immortal and whatnot. And yeah, so he experiments on his daughter, making it into like a dog creature thing, and then this sort of bad guy, I presume he's a bad guy, but you don't actually know, comes along and just like he sees how fucked up she is and like puts her out of her misery and just blows her into like blood and guts and just against the wall, and it was this little girl. and it's like suddenly you're like shocked. You're like, wow, okay, well this is definitely not for children. This is definitely an adults only fucking thing. You know, it gets pretty full on, but it's still good. It's still a good series. It's definitely pretty cool. It's kind of got almost like an Avatar sort of vibe to it in a way, but like I said, not for kids. So, in a sense of how their powers are and stuff. But for me personally, my history with anime and stuff is from like film stuff. When they, like I said, it was more about films and things like Ninja Scroll, 80808, Ghost in the Shell. Even, and there were certain series like Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop that pulled me in. Also Patlabor, that was a good film as well. So there were series, but it was more about the films back then, at least over here in the UK. They were the things that were pushed, and for me, that's where anime was at its best. I would much rather see more anime films, because it's like, you know, you see it, it's got super high production values, and then, you know, it's done and dusted. You get a start, beginning, and end. Whereas with anime, it just continues on for like a decade or more. You know, it's got a lot of mission creep, so...
I disagree. I've got no time for films anymore.
Really?
I like to see something I can get my teeth into. Yep.
Like Ninja Scroll, though. Come on, that's amazing. Ghost in the Shell.
I know.
I mean, there is a series of that. But...
We watched all the same ones.
Yeah.
But in anime and television and anything, I can't. I don't feel like I get value for money out of a movie anymore.
I know what you mean.
Everyone's into the series.
Because I don't rewatch films. I watch a film once, and the only time I usually end up rewatching them is if it's on TV. You know, so I get that to a degree.
I go through like a really, I probably won't now, but like I went through like a really bad phase. Well, I say phase, it was for like years. I had a thing for DVDs and stuff, and like, oh my god, I've got to have this DVD. And at a time, there was a point where I'd overwatch DVDs over and over. Oh, what DVD can I watch? But now there's Netflix. Now there's like all these channels on telly and stuff. Now there's Putlocker. Do you know what I mean? I've just got a bookshelf of like DVDs that I haven't probably touched one in. Do you know what? I honestly can put my hands up and say I haven't probably watched a DVD since a bare minimum a year.
That's the problem with it to a degree. It's like streaming has devalued the DVD and the video, you know, like physical media. It's completely devalued it. It's not worth, I mean, not just financially, but I mean even to yourself, because when you can just stream it, it's so much more convenient, you know. Yeah.
Like DVDs, they're expensive. Do you know what I mean? Like they're 15 quid sometimes for like, for something especially that you don't know if you're going to like. Now I remember...
It's only standard definition as well.
Lou might know. You know City of Bones books, Lou? By Cassandra Clare. Fantastic books.
Very good.
The Mortal Instruments, like the books were just phenomenal. I really loved them. And they made a movie. And I spent like, what, £10-15 on this piece of shit movie. And I watched it once and literally just like went to sell it.
Wanted to cry.
It was the most horrific destruction of a book that I've ever
I could have told you that was going to be shit out
abysmal.
Out of the bat. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, but normally, like I can deal with cheese. I can deal with bad things. I dealt with the Twilight movies. Do you know what I mean? But at least they were like fairly accurate. Like this was, they just made up a whole new part of it, and like everyone looked like the Tribe. You know, from like Channel 5.
Like
don't be dissing the Tribe.
That's not. I'm not dissing the Tribe. I'm just saying that's not what it was about, and I'm a little bit butthurt by it. But the point stands. I spent £10, £15 of my bloody money on that shit, and yeah, I was highly disappointed.
It's an hour and a half of your life you'll never get back.
Ever. Like
that's true.
And now the worst part, if I was to ever go back and read that book, I'd have their stupid little shitty faces in it.
But they're on about making an Attack on Titan movie, aren't they?
Yeah, they're gonna. I think they've already made Japanese ones. I think they've made 2, but they're gonna make like a Hollywood blockbuster one. But I think they're gonna set it in modern day, which is gonna be odd. So unless I would like them to see, unless they went like what happens in Attack on Titan the series is like historical, and they go and like talk about it.
Not exactly. It's become kind of medieval, but it's impossible to know what the true time is.
Is it? I
Because
thought that they were going for modern age because there's
they've been
supposed to be
trapped.
helicopters in it.
No, I don't know, but it's hard to say because they've lost their grip on time, haven't they? Because they've been trapped within
The
their
walls, yeah,
city,
the city.
within the walls.
No, but I mean
for
in the
100
movie,
years at least.
the movie's supposed to be set in modern times. So what I would like them to see them do with it is the series is a historical thing, like an archaeological dig perhaps, and it explains what happened way back when. And then for some reason, because no one knows how the Titans exist yet, for some reason they come back or whatever, and then it's them in the modern age, and that could be interesting, seeing them perhaps trying to build the walls and stuff. I would expect like a Pacific Rim sort of vibe, which kind of sucks. I prefer it if they did have it in the olden days. Like,
I don't think the time period. I think it is a kind of interchangeable a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
well, the time
necessarily
period
the
in
end of the
Attack
world.
on Titan could be in the future. It could be post-apocalypse for all we know.
Absolutely, that's the point, isn't it?
And we could have just lost the
It's difficult
technology
to
and
say.
things, you know. Although that would be hard to understand fully, but you never know. I'm sure they could think of a reason for it. But yeah, anyway, that's definitely my favourite one of the modern era at the moment. Attack on Titan. Full Metal Alchemist is pretty dope as well, and I'm starting to get into Death Note and stuff. So I'm slowly starting to creep back into it a little bit, which is why I thought I'd bring it up on your thoughts and stuff. But me personally, I'd rather see like fucking really high quality movies, or at least more high quality movies, like Ninja Scroll and Ghost in the Shell, Akira and stuff, even though I think Akira's a little bit overrated. But yeah, stuff like that. I mean, there were good series back in the day. Like I used to love Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop and whatnot. And Full Metal Alchemist is a bit old now, but yeah, you know, going forward, you know, what are your thoughts on the future of anime? Do you think it's going to stick with this whole serial style or whatever?
I like it. I know
Yeah.
what you're saying, but I disagree. I prefer it. I want more bang for my buck. I don't want a story crammed into 2 hours.
But the downside of that
I
is
want it told properly.
the downside of that is you're going to have it stretched over like perhaps a decade or more. Is that cool with you? Is that what you want?
I suppose so. I think they need to pull their fingers out if they're going to do
It's
it. They've gotta
difficult though,
try
isn't
and
it? It's
keep
like we were
up.
saying, animating's difficult.
Mm.
So, you know.
But you know, maybe hold fire, like live in the past a little bit, get into something that's already established. Like you say, start on something older. Start watching Naruto. It's nearly all there, laid out for you.
Yeah, I don't. Personally, I'm a bit turned off that. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a little bit like
I
Dragon Ball
love
Z,
it.
so it's probably cool. But
I love Naruto. It's excellent.
like I'm big into Dragon Ball Z. I watched all the Z ones or whatever. I need to get on to
But
watching the
maybe-
new ones that have been made as well.
Maybe give them a little time before you begin, is what I'd advise, so that you got something to get your teeth into.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is try and bosh out Death Note. I haven't finished off Full Metal Alchemist. I've got quite far through that. I should finish that as well, but yeah. So, but pretty cool. Anyway, I just wanted to see what everybody's thoughts were on anime, because I think it can be quite a controversial subject. People do see it as like kiddified bullshit, and I think that's
Oh,
unfair, even if you're not
People that
into
have
it
that
that much.
opinion haven't watched it.
Yeah.
They haven't really watched it. That's nonsense.
I mean, I'm definitely not a hardcore anime fan. I wouldn't even call myself an anime fan at this
No.
point. But I'm starting to get a bit of a feel for it back again, so it's interesting me a little bit. So
It's
cool.
just bits and pieces. Like, I don't know any of the obscure stuff, but
No.
you know, if something comes along, I give it a go.
Yeah.
Wow, that's this month's Recon Cast done and dusted. I hope you enjoyed our shenanigans and tomfoolery, and don't forget to join in with our nonsense by posting your ideas for future topics in the comments. And as well as a name check, your topic could feature in an upcoming episode. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you, and goodbye.